Hi, I'm Rebecca with Corporate Wellness by Gold's Gym, and today I'm going to give you a few triathlon training tips. So we're going to start with the swim part of the triathlon because that's usually the first thing that we do. And what you're really going to want to focus on is the freestyle stroke. When you're doing freestyle, it's a good idea to have a coach or a good swimmer that you might know take a look at you while you're swimming, and they can kind of critique your stroke. And that's going to save you a lot of time when you're trying to perfect your stroke. It'll fix anything that's wrong with it, and then it'll make you a lot more efficient. Throughout this video, I'm going to be talking about efficiency a lot because that's really important when you're doing a triathlon. When you're trying to perfect your stroke, the first thing you want to focus on is your form. And once you've got your form perfected, you're going to work on your speed. So if you're slowly swimming, doing freestyle, that's going to give you the time you need to really develop habits that are going to lead to efficiency. So once you've got your form down, that's when you'll focus on your speed. And if you're swimming in a pool like here, a really good idea is to see how long it takes you to swim from one side of the pool to the other one and to count your strokes. And once you have that number of how many strokes it takes you, you're going to do it again, and you're going to try and decrease the number of strokes it takes to get to the other side. And that's a good way to gauge how efficient each stroke is for you. The next thing you're going to want to do is train for the conditions. A lot of sprint triathlons are going to take place in a pool. A lot of them also take place in open water. And so you want to know which kind of condition you're going to be swimming in for race day so that you can prepare accordingly. If you're swimming in a pool, that's great because you've got the edges of the pool where you can kick off every 25 or 50 meters depending on the length of the pool. And if you're going to be swimming in open water, you're really going to want to get out in that water, get a feel for the wetsuit you're going to be wearing, get used to swimming in waves, things like that. Work on sighting, especially if you're going to be swimming in open water. And there are going to be buoys set up in the water that you're going to have to swim around. And so it's important that you can look at the buoy and swim straight towards it. It doesn't matter how efficient your stroke is. If you're zigzagging on your way to that buoy, everyone else is going to pass you up. So we won't go into more details about that today, but there are lots of resources online that can teach you how to sight more effectively. The next portion we're going to talk about is the bike portion of the triathlon. One thing that's really important to remember when you're training for a triathlon on the bike is that you want to pedal all the way through the rotation. You don't want to just be pushing down on the pedal, you want to be pulling up too. And so one way that you can practice doing that is to go to the gym and get on a stationary bike and practice only using one foot while you're on the stationary bike. And that's really going to help you get used to going all the way through that full rotation. One thing you can think of is kind of like the hands on a clock. It goes all the way around in the full circle, and that's the same thing that you want your foot to do. So if you practice that on the stationary bike, when you get to your real bike, it'll feel a lot more natural and it'll be a lot more efficient. It's going to save the muscles in your leg from getting overly tired, so you'll be able to run better in the next portion. Another mistake that a lot of triathletes make is that they have a really high gear on their bike and they're pedaling at a slower pace. That's another thing that can really tire your muscles out a lot faster. And so you want to practice lowering the gear and pedaling faster. You want it to be about 80 revolutions per minute. And that way you're still working hard, but you're reserving some of your energy for the rest of your race. The next portion we're going to talk about is the run portion, and probably the most important part of training for the run is doing brick workouts. If you're not familiar with what a brick workout is, what you're going to be doing is you're going to ride your bike and then immediately go for a run. You can do brick workouts, swimming to biking, but biking to running is really important because it gives you a chance to let your muscles adjust in your legs to the different kind of exercise that you're doing. If this is your first time doing brick workouts, I would suggest going on your bike ride and then going for a 1 mile run immediately after. In a triathlon, when you're transitioning from the bike to the run, your legs feel really heavy, which is why they're called brick workouts, and they kind of feel a little bit like jelly. And so doing these brick workouts helps you transition, and it really decreases the amount of time it takes your legs to adjust to using those different muscles. If you do try doing a brick workout and you do your bike and then a 1 mile run and that seems a little difficult for you, what you can do is for the first quarter mile, just try walking and then running for the duration of the mile. Another thing that often happens when you're transitioning from the bike to the run is that your legs can cramp up. And brick workouts are really great to help decrease the cramping in your legs as your legs get used to that kind of exercise. If you do continue to get cramps, just make sure you're very well hydrated and take some kind of carb gel. Those can be like the GU gels or the Hammer Nutrition gels. There are several brands out there, but find one that you like, and that can really help decrease your cramping in your legs as well. Okay, so there are a couple tips that apply to all three parts of the triathlon. First, you're going to want to gradually increase the intensity of each workout. That could be, you can increase the minutes that you're working out or your mileage, but just make sure that you're not increasing more than 10% per week. Otherwise, you're going to overdo it. Your muscles aren't going to be ready for that kind of change. Second, you're going to want to train for a distance that's farther than your actual race. That way, when you get to race day, you're going to feel very confident. You're going to know that you've done further distances in the past, and that the race is going to be a piece of cake for you. The last one is to train for the course. It's always a really great idea to know your course very well. That way you're able to be comfortable come race day. For the swim, like we mentioned before, you'll know whether you're swimming in a pool or open water, and you can adjust for that. For the bike, make sure that you know if it's hilly or not. You can train for hills before that day. And for the run, again, you want to know if it's hilly, you want to know if it's going to be on the road or if it's going to be a trail run. And as long as you feel comfortable with the course, you're going to do a great job. So thanks for listening to these training tips, and good luck on your race.